Madam Speaker, America is being crushed under the oppressive weight of the Democrats' greed for lust and power. They want totalitarian control over every aspect of American life, and they're ruling the people's house as if they were royalty. America is dissolving under our feet, and Democrats are worried about cartoons.
Great time to be alive in this country, and we are just being lied to in our faces. And it's sick the way the press is also trashing this judge. They don't like this judge because he's supposed to be impartial. The left hates impartiality.
And so the question is, do we actually have a constitution that constrains people like Biden, or is it just when he loses patience, he can do whatever the hell he wants to? No, I'll take the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Fight against massive spending, fight against tyranny worldwide. Demonic leaders continue to lock folks down in different countries. Governors are fighting in tiny locations compared to the rest of this earth. When will all this end? What plans has the enemy unveiled? We're going to see all of that today. Stand by. Friends, do you feel uncertain about the future, especially with the holidays upon us? You're wondering, is there anything you can do to protect yourself and your family from unexpected food shortages? Yes, there is. You can go to My Patriot Supply. That in the description box below. Preparewithandweknow.com. Right now you can save $100 on their 3-month emergency food kit. It has enough food to get you through to difficult times. That's preparewithandweknow.com. Now, I don't know if you guys know about this or not, but they are have continued to talk, McCarthy, as they're standing shoulder to shoulder, actually sitting, almost falling asleep after hours and hours. During my recording, they are still standing there listening to this very long speech. And part of it includes a little history lesson about Durham. And I thought that timing was interesting. We talk about Durham before the Durham vote. And I thought it would be good to kick off this one with just a lesson from a guy who I don't really appreciate, but I tell you what, this House debate about Build Back Better bill before that expected vote, this one right here is something we all need.
Inside my conference room, I have another portrait. It's a big one, 8 feet by 16. It's a portrait of Washington crossing the Delaware. You all know that painting, do you not? This is a replica. Do you know who painted that painting? You know, it happened Christmas 1776. The person who painted it wasn't there that day. He painted in 1850, 1851. He wasn't even an American. He was a German immigrant who lived in America, Emanuel Lenz. He lived here for about 10 years, I believe, and then he went back to Germany. And he knew the same thing that Lincoln knew about America. That America's more than a country, that we're an idea. An idea not of more bureaucracy, but of more freedom. And his talent was art, so he thought, I'll paint this painting to inspire my country to have a revolution based upon the freedoms of American democracy. He gets it historically incorrect. If you look at the painting, it doesn't look like the Delaware, it looks like the Rhine, but he's German. You give him a break, right? He puts Washington in a rowboat. Historians will tell you he probably crossed in a Durham boat. He puts 13 people in the rowboat. Why? 13 colonies. He only shows you 12 faces. If you ever look at the painting, and please come to the office, you could bring your constituents, I don't have to be there. But he has Washington in his ceremonial uniform, standing up in a rowboat in the middle of winter with his hand on his chest. You look at our founding father, and you would say that man is bigger in life. He's so stoic. I bet he's never lost a battle. But you know what history tells us? At that moment in time, Washington had only been a loser. He'd never won a fight. But if you Google this painting to see if I'm right, and you got your phones, you're welcome to do it. I don't want you to look at Washington. I want you to look at who's in the boat. The second person's wearing a beret. He's Scottish. The person in the green directly across from him, rowing in the exact same cadence as African American. You come down the boat, in the middle is this person in the red. They look like they're the strongest. It's a woman. And in the very back is a Native American. Now, Mr. Speaker, I cannot tell you if that diversity was in the boat that night, but to this young immigrant who had lived in America, that's who he believed would be in the boat. Now, the second person to the last was a rancher, a farmer. I don't know if he was related to Russell Johnson or not, with the same occupation. And he has his hand across his face. You see, it's the hand of the 13th person nobody sees. But what this artist was saying, here we are, not a country, but an idea. Having lost every battle before us, but willing to risk everything on our holiest of nights for the idea of freedom. Here's a hand. Would you get in and join us? I wish we hung that portrait in here. I wish we would look at that portrait. That when we brought bills to the floor, that we were all rowing together. Because I will tell you, the challenge Washington faced that night, our two biggest challenges for the future are the debt and China. And this bill makes us a loser on both. Mr. Speaker, it spends more money than we spent for the entire World War II. It sends our jobs to China. It does nothing to stand up to them. But I know this. It's not too late. It might be late into the night. Mr. Speaker, members on your side of the aisle, they got staff. They could get a new plane to Puerto Rico. This is too important. There are moments in time that history that change the course of this country. And they've happened on this floor. The 13th Amendment. A day that'll live in infamy. We were bombed by Japan, almost wiped out our Navy. That Congress didn't turn around and say, let's take away work requirements. Let's give incentives to people who are coming illegally. And let's spend nothing on our defense. But let's make it bigger than any other bill we've ever had. And let's make sure nobody on the other side works with us. Now we're going into war. So we should send a letter to OPEC and to Putin. Because he could lower our gas price, help us out.
So as he expressed there something very important about our country. Folks, this picture, I had no idea until he started talking about it, the history behind it. And it really touched me, and I hope it helped you also as we take this journey together. Speaking of journey together, there was a mistake in the video that was posted where we thought out of Austria they were marching against the tyranny there. And Sergeant Robert Horton gave us an update. The 13-member of our admins team burned the midnight oil and work around the clock to quickly post all the events into the channel. It's normal that sometimes mistakes happen. The video was reported that related to a soccer match that was mistaken posted by one of the admins as a protest in Austria. So sorry for this, and I will try to have more control over the post from now on. In fact, some of the news is sent to us by channel users, which must be verified firstly. So there are mistakes that happen. I still enjoyed that video, and I wish that we'd have folks around the world like this. We did receive a video from someone out of New Zealand, Maori Morpheus. I put in the description box below. Very long video coming out of New Zealand, I believe. So as you can see, all the bikers there, large crowds, and pretty amazing. Thank you for sending that video in to us, and we're really hoping for everyone to experience something like this where we gather together around the world. Here's something out of Prague. So while Austria might have been a bust on that video, we still have great events with large crowds like this gathering around the earth. Folks have had enough already. And this came from Gutfield, thought it was really cool.
Racists call them sexist, but never call for the truth. It's a difference between this White House and the previous one. Who did Trump go after? The media, China, the NBA, the NFL, Democrats and Republicans, celebrities. He punched up, not down. He didn't single out citizens or voters. Here, the White House sees you, the individual, as the problem, and they see group identity as its protection. It's a racket. They're the victims, even when they're in power and you're not.
Yeah, pretty good. And there's another one from Laura Ingraham I'll show you in a moment. Before that, statement by Donald Trump, President 45th, President of the United States. Congratulations to Tim Rantham, State Representative of Wisconsin, for putting forward a powerful and very popular, because it's true, resolution to decertify the 2020 presidential election in Wisconsin based on the recently found absolute proof of large-scale voter fraud that took place. Pretty good. And so the Rep. Ramthans details tremendous amounts of election fraud, including 44,272 voters who did not show proper voter identification, which alone is more than twice the margin necessary to win. Thousands of emails that show election manipulation by Mark Zuckerberg's funding, irregularities in the state's voter registrations, like 400 registered voters at a single address. The Wisconsin Election Commission committing felony crimes by knowingly ordering illegal voting at nursing homes, and so much more. Only one state senator needs to co-sponsor the resolution for it to be put to a vote in each chamber. Which American patriot from the state Senate will step forward? Great job. So we see that Liberty Overwatch even put this quote from Timothy Rantham. Today, I formally called upon the entire legislature to answer the concerns the majority of Wisconsin citizens have regarding the election integrity. I have openly and transparently provided every office with my joint resolution asking to reclaim Wisconsin's 10 electoral ballots, along with a legal memo that speaks truth to the process of decertification. It falls upon us to take a stand and set an example for the remaining states to follow. So it's really strange that Fox would all of a sudden jump on board trying to prove that Trump was much better.
By the way, grouse and complain. You're supposed to stand for America, but they don't like that. Because to them, an authoritarian is a Republican who calls Trump wasn't a threat to America's standing in the world or to our economy. He was a threat to the old order. And now, 10 months into the Biden administration, America sees what real danger looks like. It looks like a bumbling fool.
All of this is happening. Fox is starting to talk about Trump. And we see the scuttlebutt, like I talked about in the last video, about possible changes with the Vice President, Kamala Harris. Now, when we had our intel comms playing out pretty good, we had things like this: change of batter coming. Why was she saved from officially announcing? Why was she reserved for a last-minute change? How do you attempt to sneak one in? Now, we were talking about this in the context, I believe, last year, of wondering, are they going to change somebody as they're leading up to the time that they're going to vote for the 2020 election? We thought maybe they'll do a last-minute change, then. But there's been some thoughts that they would sneak one in now. So then who would they possibly sneak in? Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama ticket to replace Joe Biden. How would they pull something like that off? So I've seen a lot of different folks bring different thoughts in. One of them is they could say, we're going to bring old Hillary in as the VP. Yep. And then Joe Biden all of a sudden gets the 25th thrown against him. She steps up to the plate and brings old Obama back in as VP. Can you imagine that? Would they be able to pull a stunt like that? You know what? I believe they would. They could do anything they want. If they want, they could put old, I don't know, maybe they could put, let's see, the whole crowd in that they want. They can change everybody that they want anytime, break any laws that they want, and get by with it, and everybody's just going to pound the tables and scream and yell and say they can't do that, and they're just going to continue to laugh. Because that's what the enemy does. These evil folks. Evil folks. And so, speaking of evil, we keep seeing this guy popping up everywhere. Oh, Bill Gates. Well, documents show that he's given $319 million to media outlets. He's bankrolled hundreds of media outlets and ventures, including CNN and NPR, to the tune of at least $319 million. Who does the government actually work for? These folks are high up, huge power given to all of them. And when you see how they get by with whatever they want, you wonder, will it ever end? Absolute Conviction 1776 showed us a magazine cover, The Shot Heard Round the World. This is taken from the newest edition of AARP magazine. Yeah. So if you go to the Intel drops, we have The Shot Heard Round the World, The Great Awakening, A Week to Remember. Interesting because Pepe Deluxe says this is the shot heard round the world. I can't quit thinking about this. It has awakened many people to the school board tactics. The critical race theory pointed out by President Trump I had never heard about until he mentioned it. The infiltration by global powers into our elections and controlling all peoples of every country for a mRNA jab. This is about everything the elite have been telling you it was about. Bioweapons, population control, sterilization. That's how I see it. It's definitely against my religion, not to mention the medical community. Well, they have been talking about it in their TEDx reports. And they stand up on the stage. They've been giving speeches. I mean, they've basically been telling everybody what they wanted to do. They've been showing it in movies and music. Just never really bothered to pay attention, did we? But now that everybody in the world's affected by something, we're all starting to wake up. We're starting to see more. That is pretty cool. I love when folks put memes like that together. And great song. Even my kids love to dance to that song. It's just a lot of fun. And we have that the Trump lawyer sends the demand letter threatening to sue Pulitzer Prize Board if they refuse to rescind the 2018 Washington Compost and New York Times awards for Russiagate reporting. That's right, because they're a bunch of lies. An attorney representing former President Donald Trump threatened to sue the board of the Pulitzer Prizes over a former board's decision. Yeah. So all of this is playing out. We saw Steve Bannon get taken in, and he basically said we're going on offense. Time for offense. You see these guys dancing. And we're seeing offense played out in many different areas, not just there. You got Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signing 4 anti-mandate bills into law. And so when he's talked about, he's questioned whatever, he always gives great statements.
So first of all, this idea that somehow conservatism is about...
I think that given the mess that they have already made of this, they will choose not to retry him and dismiss the charges. And Kenosha will be on fire. Yeah, buddy. Tell you what. The other things, another meme that was put out, you see this Rittenhouse media coverage. That's the media, ABC, CBS, NPR, Washington Compost, MSDNC, and CNN, building the gallows for Rittenhouse. A manifestly innocent Rittenhouse still at this moment faces the prospect of life in prison because a jury knows he did nothing wrong but is terrified their lives could be ruined for finding him not guilty. This is the America that the left wanted to create, and it's here. The America that we love, that we've lived in for so long, in just wonder and awe, is just falling apart in every direction at the seams.
Lawyers can be. Oh, these guys, when they're not doctoring evidence against Donald Trump, they're embezzling money and shaking down people like Avenatti. And remember those nitwits with Mueller? Just destroyed their iPhones after that witch hunt. It's just, I thought these people were supposed to be independent actors. They're just like the rest of us. They're just a bunch of really dirty, rotten scoundrels. These are rogue prosecutors. They are rogue, runaway prosecutors. And this is great, because now we can see how dastardly they are. And if you didn't have cameras, you get the press come out and lie about what would happen in the courtroom. It's like right now, if they didn't have a window here, the press would say it's raining. And then they open up the window, no rain, press still tells me it's raining. That's why the country doesn't trust the press anymore. Because we can see, we have the internet now, we have full visibility, cameras in the courtroom. You can see the actual documents, the FBI IG reports. You see, it's a great, great time to be alive in this country, and we are just being lied to in our faces. And it's sick the way the press is also trashing this judge. Mm-hmm. They don't like this judge because he's supposed to be impartial. The left hates impartiality. They want activists in robes. That's why every person they appoint to the high court is a total left-winger. None of the liberal justices ever cross over to side with the conservatives. It's always the conservative justices crossing over because they have some semblance of independence. No. They don't like this guy, even though this judge appointed by a Democrat and ran for election like a bunch of times. The people.
Isn't that something? So he brings up the truth. Talks about the conservatives and how they seem to be, always the ones on the wrong side because the liberals just can't handle anything. And so check this out when the liberals will handle even more truth.
Madam Speaker, Democrat policies are so pathetic and have done so poorly that the left has nothing else to do but troll the internet looking for ways to get offended and then try to target members and strip them of their committees. This is a dumb waste of the House's time. But since the Speaker has designated the floor to discuss members' inappropriate actions, shall we? The Jihad Squad member from Minnesota has paid her husband, and not her brother husband, the other one, over $1 million in campaign funds. This member is allowed on the Foreign Affairs Committee while praising terrorists. A Democrat chairwoman incited further violence in the streets outside of a courthouse. And then the cherry on top, my colleague and 3-month presidential candidate from California, who is on the Intelligence Committee, slept with Fang Fang, a Chinese spy. Let me say that again. A member of Congress who receives classified briefings was sleeping with the enemy. This is unacceptable.
She was letting them have it. Isn't that something? Lauren Boebert, standing there, giving so much truth. They don't care. They listen, they're on their phones, they ignore. Doesn't matter how much activity she shows them. She could have had a video playing of all the evidence. She could have shown them with the gun in their hand, taking somebody out. They wouldn't care. They would justify it somehow. That's how evil these folks are. Unbelievable. And so this guy shows and displays the evil that they had planned for the whole earth. Let's see what the reaction is for that.
I feel very strongly that in this best of all possible worlds, everything is in a hell of a mess. Everyone knows it. Everyone has a different explanation for it. But all these explanations are bunk. The true cause of our problems and pains and torments and turmoils and calamities, the true cause has been hidden from us, hidden by the very men who are supposed to enlighten and protect us, namely the medical profession. Ladies and gentlemen, I accuse medical science. I say medical science is a fraud, an organized system of ignorance. I say medical science is a conspiracy, a premeditated idiocy, an army of know-nothing, hair-splitting, fee-splitting specialists is at war with an army of ailments, and the ailments bloom, and the specialists prosper, and the patients die, unless kept alive at the point of a gun. You are being murdered, my friends. You are being murdered, my friends, day after day, as long as you live. Don't ask me for whom the grave is dug. It's dug for you.
So they're laughing because he's a comedian. I don't know his name. I didn't have that info. But it's interesting because he's trying to tell the truth on the Letterman show. And they're laughing. I think it's a joke. And that's what's happening now.